Okay, after the last couple of videos I've made, I've got some unusual questions and then a lot of assumptions by people. So I need to make myself clear here. Bear with me. A lot of you are assuming I'm a Trump supporter. I'm strictly an observer. I don't vote one way or the other, because when you do, you're either choosing one of the two pillars on the either side. I'm observing what's happening. I made the statement that Trump is put in there, he was selected, he was put in there to reinstate the American dream, make America great again, right? He's there to bring back the little pink houses and white picket fence dream, that everybody can make their dreams come true here, and that when that happens, everybody will go back to sleep. And that's not what we want, okay? That might seem peaceful and tolerable, and they would love for us to accept that. But I'm not on one side or the other, and I'll explain why. I see the game. First of all, let me state that both sides are all controlled by Jesuits. Trump went to a Jesuit high school, a military high school. He's always been around the Jesuits. His children went to Georgetown. Hillary went to Georgetown. Jesuit institutions. So, to me, they're on the same side. It's just which outcome. Let me put up a world map here and show you what I'm talking about. What goes down? This has been planned out. It's a plan that was put in place by Europe. That's why they brought the United Nations over here. Why is the United Nations not in Europe? Because they want America to be the fall guy. Europe knows history repeats itself. So they're trying to change the code, that the alchemy that this all works by. Before I do that, let me show you this. This is the Native American medicine wheel. Actually, I had another one in here, but it won't let me use it. This is the wheel they want. All right? The true medicine wheel of the Americas, black is opposite the white. Black is always opposite white. Yellow is always opposite red. And they bring them together. Hence, Freemasonry, the blacks and the whites. Right? That's the Freemason. The church is white and Freemasonry is black. And that's the way this works. So it won't let me use the other one because it's copyrighted. So this one is what they want. They've changed everything to try to make this happen. The church indeed is with Freemasonry via the Jesuits. So you have matriarch over here and patriarch over here. Let's go back to the map. I'll show you how this works. In the medicine wheel, if you use just the four colors, it starts in Africa with earth and the color black. Then it went to Asia and the color was yellow. And then it moved into Europe. The color was white. And then it moved into the Americas. Its color is red. And then red and black, North America, again, is earth. Now, I've traced this thing back all the way over here to China. China was air, and it came down into India. It came from the north down into the south. India came over to Africa. It's like a serpent that wheels itself around the planet. The snake eats its tail when it returns home to the Orient, right, into China. This is how this thing works. It's fractal, and yes, history repeats itself. They want to change that history. because every time this serpent moves, this wisdom moves, the previous age falls. As the Middle East rose up, Africa fell. As Europe rose up, the Middle East fell. Well, it's time for the Americas to rise up and Europe falls, because North and South America are one. The next two ages are represented by red, South America, and black, North America. Okay? And don't take this for me talking about peoples and races, even though that's what it is, because these two are one, as in Aquarius and Capricorn. They're both ruled by Saturn. That's why you see like the Olmec and the Toltec. Some of the black races were here previously. Over here in China, it started in an age of air. After the flood, the age of Gemini began here. We know that by Kublai Khan. He was the father of the blue sky, right? Everything under the blue sky. So we know that was the air sign. And then it worked its way back around. Even in the Americas, we have an Asian influence. This thing went all over the world after in the age of Gemini. And we see the agent of influence in the linguistics. Teotihuacan and Kukulkan. Kukulkan is the same as Kublai Khan. They're the same. They're the same. So we understand it in that method. Now here's what's going on. Like I said, for the next age to come in that's ruled by North and South America, the next two ages, Europe must die. It must be destroyed, just like the previous ages before them. And they know this. The Vatican has taken all of its stuff and moved it down to South America. Uruguay, Paraguay, what they call, what is the name of that? I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, they've moved their library down there. They've moved all their really important stuff down there. A lot of the world leaders, especially here from the United States, the Bushes, they all own land down here. Patagonia, that's what I'm trying to say, Patagonia. They've all moved down into Patagonia, which is South America. And they know, even the Prince Charles built a bronze statue of himself as Nike and put it in the Amazon jungle in the middle of nowhere so that it can be found later, right? It's found later. They're gonna, if you understand what happens to bronze and it patinas, it's gonna look really old when they show it to the people again, trying to hijack the next age, just like changing their name from Tudor, which goes along with Thalem, the teacher, the tutor, to Wind Czar. The Czar comes in out of Russia. What is a Czar? When we moved from the age of fire in Asia to water or ice in Europe, there was the battle of fire and ice. And the two became one. The Medo-Persians breeded with what we know are with the Russians, and they called them Prussians or Khazarians. Prussia no longer exists. This bloodline today is German bloodline, and they rule Europe and the world. Period. That was the battle of fire and ice. It was and is the Game of Thrones. So they need to save their ass, right? They have to save their ass. So they're manipulating the script all over the world. I'm sorry, you can't go against that alchemical wheel. I don't care what they do. I don't care what they do. When you talk about there's a battle in heaven, there's only 3 places on earth that can happen. That's Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Those are the three air signs. So the battle in heaven is either in China, India, or South America. That's heaven. That's the air signs. And then here we have heaven on earth. But right now we're still all being ruled by Europe. The whole world is being ruled by Europe. Now they had made themselves a big plan to take down the next age and rule forever. Forever. They want to break the cycle and rule forever. That's just simply not going to happen. The heavens won't let it happen. Nature won't let it happen. Their whole idea is to subdue nature and make it work for them. And they've literally destroyed this planet doing it. They don't understand. Let's see if I can get the medicine wheel back up and show you something else. Can I get the other one? No. Hold on, let me go get something. This isn't the one I wanted, but it will serve its purpose. White, physical, Europe. Asia, emotional, yellow. South America, mental and spiritual, in the black, North America. I think these two should be reversed. And probably these two. But understand how it's all divided. That we move from one stage to another in alchemy. It's just the way it works. It's the way nature works. Its whole purpose is to bring us up. When what's going on the world stage right now, let me pull my other one back up, they're trying to hijack it. They know this truth. They know they're going down. The only way out is either by force or by consent. They like consent. Now, there are two pillars. Here, they have two pillars here in the United States, and it's the West Coast and the East Coast. We're divided. We have conservatives on the right and liberals on the left. The liberals want to set up so that the United States has a war with the Middle East, right? They want to fund Iran and send all the nukes over there so they can come back over here. When the other side, the conservative side, wanted war with, if the liberals get their way and we have a war with the Middle East, it's the right pillar that comes down because it's closest to them. If the war goes the other way, then it's California that goes down and the West Coast because it comes in from where? Korea. So now you see how the game is played. Both of them are playing war games. It's a game, it's a play, it's a script, and they're playing war games. They have been. They have been since this country was founded. When you read the Old Testament, the state of Israel was at perpetual war. There was only 40 years of peace in its whole existence. It's always been at war. The world has always been at war. This is the problem. Is the perpetual war on this planet. This stops in the age of Aquarius. There'll be no more war. But this iniquity must come to a full. And we're here. We're here. They have tried every ritual, every magic. They have gone around the world. The empire, Jupiter and his empire, has circumvented the globe, destroyed all the people's knowledge, confused all the people's knowledge, taken all of their zodiacs and their magic, water, earth, air, and fire. And they are in perpetual rituals trying to keep Europe from going down. They know somebody has to go down, but they don't want it to be them. I'm sorry, you cannot go against the script in the heavens. It's simply not going to happen. So, and it even states in the Bible that they'll do this. It also states that it's going to blow up in their face. The pit that you dig for the next age, you fall into. So now Europe is being overrun with Muslims. And they're trying to deal with this. Every country is crumbling so that they can bring in their one world order. When you talk about one order, that's why they took down the two pillars, right? The right pillar and the left pillar came down and they put them together as one. That's what they wanted, one pillar that's Republican and Democrat. You can't tell the difference between them. Everybody in Congress has been compromised. Not one that has not been compromised. It's hard for anybody to step up as much as they want to and give you the truth. They can't. And I'm not going to tell you their lives are threatened, because they're not. One, they've been compromised and they have the evidence on them, and they can drop them at any time. But it's the thing they love that they go after. This beast system. Let's talk about the beast system. Because we have two beasts in the book of Revelations. One comes up out of the earth. A lot of people would like to tell you that's the United States, and that's possibly true. But that beast came out of the earth of Africa, and that was Freemasonry out of Egypt. And the next beast comes up out of the water. Not out of the Middle East, out of the water. That's Europe. This multi-headed beast that comes up out of the water. Are you seeing this? So here's your beast. And this beast that comes up out of the water, it's got all parts of beast in it. It's got the symbol of the lion, which is Babylon, confusion. It speaks like the lion, right? It speaks confusion. It's got the symbol of the leopard. It's got the symbols of Medo-Persia. It's got the symbols of Greek democracy in it. This is a political ruling class system. Now, and these are your two beasts, earth and water. It really don't have anything to do with us. You can't even consider United States being earth until South America rises up as Aquarius. That's just, even though they're one. That's why they want to build the wall, right? The division. That's not going to happen. If it does, it's destruction. I shit you not. I understand their thing about immigration, but let me explain something to you people. The United Nations sits in New York. Every tongue on the planet is represented there. Everybody. The tribes of Africa, even over in Indonesia, everybody's got a seat and a voice there, but one people, and that's the native peoples of America. They don't have a seat and they don't have a voice. We're constantly being shown race wars, black and white. Lincoln promised the blacks 40 acres and a mule, and they want their 40 acres and a mule. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. That's not what this is about. It's not about entitlement. That's given to you. Number one, the Civil War was never about slavery. They could really care less. You think Europe cares less about slavery? They're the ones that brought them over here and sold them and made the money on them. It was about money. It's always about money. In the South, in New Orleans, they were printing their own money, and they were called Dixie dollars. Dixie dollars. Look it up. This was the first attempt of the Federal Reserve to get a foothold in the United States, but they had to get rid of the Dixie dollars. Dixie dollars were used they were doing the same thing England was doing in Canada. You go over there, you set up this British East India Company, and you give them your money, but they can only spend your money at your store. Do you understand? It's a type of slavery. Well, that's what they were doing in the South. When you worked in the cotton fields, the They didn't slave these people. They were paid with Dixie dollars. And you took the Dixie dollars to the Dixie store and bought your Dixie goods. That's what that was going on. You'll never read about that in your history books. But you can do your homework. It's there. Look up Dixie dollars and learn. Because it's always about the money. What did Rothschild say? I don't care who makes the laws as long as I control the money. Then I get slapped again about the Bitcoin thing. Bitcoin is etheric. I'm not saying that it's the end all that be all. It's not going to solve the problems. But when they collapse the dollar, you're going to need something to fall back on. You're not going to be able to put your card in the ATM machine and get cash out. Your cash will be worthless. What have you got to trade? Money is traded only because people believe in it and have faith in it. And people all over the world are trading and believing in Bitcoin and etheric money. It's out of thin air. That's the air sign. We do it in blind faith. It's all fiat currency, whether it's dollars or Bitcoin. It's shit right out of thin air. The difference between a dollar and a Bitcoin is we can keep printing more and more money. They print more and more dollars. They burn them, they print them. They burn them, they print them. Bitcoin is a set amount. Nobody can ever make any more. They can only break it down and fragment it into smaller pieces, hence the Satoshi. But no more can ever be created. That way, the market cannot be manipulated like a gold-backed market or a fiat currency manipulative, what do they call it? They have a name for it. That they can, fractional reserve, so that they can lend money, banks lend money that they don't actually have. Bitcoin don't work like that. You have to understand money and economics. So I've got a lot of you just on my channel just nitpicking me about shit I've said, and you're not looking at the big picture here. I'm showing you the big picture. Let's go back to here. So you've got these two pillars. This pillar, let's call it California, or the left, and this pillar is DC, or the right wing. This one wants to have a war over here in the Middle East because it's going to affect the East Coast. This one always tried to, Korea and China was the bad guy. That way the war would be in California. That's why now the U.S. government, the CIA, and a lot of shit has moved from D.C. and is now in Colorado, which is right up the middle. They're preparing. All agencies around the world, I don't care who they are. I don't care what government they are. I don't care what foundation it is. Everything is controlled and ruled by Europe, or what I call Eurasia, because they're Eurasians. They've got that bloodline is in them. You can trace it back. They keep changing their titles, changing their names. They've gone from, this is originally, as the book says, it came out of Babylon. It went into Medo-Persia. It went into the Greek Empire. It went into the Eurasian Empire. This thing moves, and it's empire. It's about Jupiter. Jupiter means expansion. Expansion means empire. That's why we got Star Wars, right? This constant battle between dark and light. Vader meaning father, padre, works for the emperor. Padre, Vader in the German, works for the emperor. And that's another thing about 9/11. The only numerology that I find in it, right? There are many different sets of numerology. You must know the legend down here to read the map. And if you don't have the right legend, this map ain't gonna make sense. Well, if you talk, their legends have always been, these countries that put this up, when you talk about the Greek language or the Hebrew language, they're alphanumerical. So A equals 1, B equals 2. But everything's being run by the Germans or the Prussians. And we call that in German or in Dutch, to say I am, you want to be I am, it's ich bin. Ich. The I is IK. That's 9/11. It's the I. Everything has to do with the I. Everything, everything, everything. Always. And it's about the third I. The oldest symbol on this planet is the I. It's always been here. It's the oldest creation story. We were born in the eye of a blue-eyed giant. That's why I'm not flat earth, and I'm not round earth, and I'm not hollow earth. I'm all of them, because I understand we live in the eye. I call him a hazel-dyed giant, not a blue one. Our oceans definitely are not blue anymore, but we live in the eye of a hazel-eyed giant. We're under the dome on flat earth. You can't go to the South Pole. It's surrounded by white, and that's where the ganglia connects to the cosmic mind. You can't go to the North Pole. That's the pupil. That's the way you get into hollow earth. It's your eyeball. The eyeball is an organ. It's an organ. Understand that. It is also baffles science how the eye works. Because when something comes into the eye, it flips it upside down. Do you see why we're born upside down? It's the way the eye works. And they call it the mirror effect. It's mirrored, as above, so below. To me, I'm becoming more and more to understand that the earth is not just an eye, it's the third eye. And it is connected to Fomalhaut. It's like looking yourself in the eye. Like looking in the mirror and looking at yourself in the eye. The eye, not the eyes. The eye, the one in the middle. I don't know how to explain this any other way. This is part of Hermetics. It's part of alchemy. It's part of the symbolic language, the great mysteries. Osiris's body. Osiris to me is the whole of the knowledge. It was complete. It was whole. And Osiris's brother killed him and cut up his body into pieces. And everybody around the world got a piece. They call it the mystery schools. In the Yucatan, you can find these big round spheres, right? These big balls the Olmec Toltec society left us. In North America, you have the earth mounds. In Africa, you have the pyramids. When Israel was established, they had the rectangle. If you lay out the dimensions of the tabernacle where the Ark of the Covenant was housed, it's a rectangle. The Middle East has the cube, right? Everybody's got a piece of this pie. North America had the earth mounds and the circle, the great circle, the circle of life. So everybody got a piece of this knowledge. And so the ISIS or Freemasonry goes around the world and finds all this knowledge. But they can't find the phallic, the thing that makes it reproduce. They can't find it. They don't know where it is. So they invent a fake one. A fake one. They rejected the third eye. They wanted the lower eye chakra, right? They rejected the heavenly chakra of the third eye. So their information is tainted. They have a different stone. They have a different star. It's Sirius. They venerate Sirius instead of Fomalhaut if you want to speak of it astrologically. But there are other ways of speaking of this. It's about a knowledge. And so the one they chose is one that has to do, oops, let me get it on this one. Evoking the emotions and into war. They've played the war game on us repetitively. They keep us afraid. It's like Machiavellian. I understand this because my mother did this. My mother ruled by fear. I even tried to discuss this with her when she got older. And she explained to me that's all she knew. That's all she knew. I understand. She was just programmed like everybody else is. You either fall into one program or the other. When you need the whole, you need balance. And the only way to get balance is to go up the middle, to not choose the left side or the right side. I'm not happy about, in a way, you can look at what's going on and follow the symbols, and you understand the programming and what they're trying to do in reinstating the American dream. But to me, that just puts everybody back to sleep. We just all go back to sleep. That accomplishes nothing. We remain in this perpetual state of defensive war, offensive war. It's like a never-ending frickin' chess game. We just end up in a stalemate and do it again. Stalemate, do it again. In the age of Aquarius, this stops. This stops. It'll be no more war. The war we should be fighting is the one we always should have been fighting, and that's within our own selves, between our spirit and our flesh, coming to that middle ground, coming to a place to where stop killing our spirits so the flesh can survive. Stop killing the flesh so the spirit can survive. It takes both. It takes both. So do understand this in a much better way. I cannot believe they will not let me. I know it won't support that format, but it was the proper medicine wheel. I understand how they went around and they flipped everything. They took all the knowledge from South America and then they rearranged it and gave it back to you as shit. Because it'll never make sense unless you understand hermetics and alchemy. And that's the only reason I understand this now. And it's a symbolic language. It's not a written one. Every symbol has a meaning. And when you put symbols together, then multiple meanings. And then you have a painting. The picture paints 1,000 words. But again, a lot of you are coming at me with information, but you have the wrong legend. And you think you know what you're talking about. But to me, I need many witnesses before I bring an information out. I have to be convinced myself. I have to be able to look at it in hermetics, look at it in alchemy, look at it in astrology, look at it in the tarot deck. The tarot deck is the pictures. All the symbols are embedded in alchemy, and hermetics are embedded in the tarot deck. And every one of them are related to constellations and planets and star systems. Planets and stars. As above, so below. But we can look at the nations around the world and see how it's all laid out. It's a beautiful picture. You see the serpent. They show you the serpent that's wrapped around the earth, right? They show you the earth with the serpent wrapped around it. And that is just a symbol that explains behind this knowledge. But to really see where that serpent, how it wove itself and goes back and eats its own tail, the Ouroboros. Well, we are now coming into the age of the stone. The builders rejected. And that was their downfall. Or they'd probably get away with every bit of this. But it's too late for them. Now, let me go over here and explain something else about the third eye. Right here. Here, in this one, it's Gimel, which is the camel. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle. Here's your eye of the needle to enter into the kingdom of heaven. It's easier. Gimel. Gimel and Daleth were inverted. In the Greek, this would have been Daleth. Delta. Delta. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta. When the Arabic is Aleph, Bet, Daleth, Gimel. You have to understand how everything was flipped. That's why every time you look at one of these, they're different. But if you understand the hermetics behind it, none of this can be done done to you. None of it. You understand truth. You know it. You already know it. You look within yourself when you have an emotional reaction to something. And you can look within yourself and know whether that's coming from a place of love or a place of fear. Because there are the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. They're all in here. They're all one tree. It's just one tree. It's just how do you use the tree. The body is the tree. This is your body. This is also the heavens. It's also the world. It's everything. Everything is explained within everything else. Penguins. But this is what the Native Americans had. Again, the black being opposite the white. And we understood how the serpent moved from Africa into Asia, into Europe, and then into the Americas. There's great knowledge in South America. And it's all in the architecture. It was all left for us to find after the flood. Marduk went around the world and built effigies to himself, and they locked him in the Great Pyramid. Same story. Same freaking story. They changed the names to protect the guilty. That's like criminal justice. There is no justice for the victims. They call it criminal justice for a reason. It's justice for the criminals. At this point in history, it is Europe that is the criminal. And they call it, it even comes out of Crimea. Are you starting to connect the dots? You have to connect the dots. So, like I said, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I have registered to vote. When I was in California, I had to register to vote. I needed a mailbox. And ironically enough, you had to have, there was only 3 pieces of ID you could use to get a mailbox. And I take that back, yeah, 3. And I only had 1. I only had a driver's license. The other 2 options are a lease from the house you live in, which I was just staying with a friend renting a room, so I didn't have a lease with my name on it. And the other one was a voter registration card. They force you to sign up to vote, right? You can't get a mailbox without one. Now, isn't that ridiculous? So, yeah, I didn't vote. I just got the card to get the mailbox. And I might have to do that here, unless I get under a lease. I'm still in a weekly, and I have no lease. And as a matter of fact, I was hoping to move this week. That's not going to happen for me. I got rejected because of my credit score. I basically haven't had anything on credit in over 30 years. And when they ran I was told I was rejected because of my credit score. So I go on and get the free little Credit Karma thing, and red flags are everywhere. So I actually had to pay for a real credit report to find out what's going on. And my Social Security number is being used in California. No wonder I can't get medical or anything here. I can't get food stamps or anything in Nevada because California's got me locked down. They won't release me. They've still got me saying I'm living there and I'm receiving services. Well, somebody there is getting all kind of shit in my name. So anyway, hopefully now that I'm aware of this and I have the ball in motion, I can get all that shut down. I have to go sign some papers, show my ID, and all of this. I'm going to go take Monday and go do that to prove I'm here, not there, and I am who I say I am. I hate having to go through all of this. I really don't use the medical, but I have found myself in a couple of really bad situations since I've been here, and I've had to go to the hospital. Not that they helped me, but I have been really sick, and then I had another incident that I've not discussed with you people. I just don't care to. But nonetheless, at least I know now. I know what's going on and why. So I don't have a lot of hope until I get this straightened out of actually being able to sign a lease somewhere. I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'll probably just end up remaining in another weekly. But I need to damn sure get the hell out of the one I'm in. I'm really tired of being here. More so for my dog. I really want. Kelly's getting old, and she really deserves a yard of some kind. So maybe I can find an individual owner to where I'm not leasing from these companies and these rental agencies. And that maybe if I can just find an owner that'll work with me, I can get on out of here. But failing willing, that will happen when it's supposed to happen. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep on keeping on. But I didn't want y'all to be confused about I have an agenda or I'm on one side or the other. I'm not on either side. To me, they're both wrong. In my understanding, they're both wrong. Before I even knew this knowledge, to me, they were both wrong. And it's just a big stage. It's a script. They're all actors, all of them. We don't have politicians, we have actors. It's quite easy to see that Hollywood runs everything. You just don't know it. The CIA runs Hollywood. They're run by the Jews, who are controlled by the Jesuits. I mean, it's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. Understand, the Vatican and Mecca are one. They're not separate. That's why you haven't seen the Game of Thrones, the end of it yet. I'm really dying to know how they're going to pull that one off. Because in the end of the story, the two become one. Eurasia. What I call the Khazarian nation are the Prussians. They're part of Russia and they're part of Persia. They're Eurasia. They call themselves Germans today. They want to hide that Prussian lineage. They did the same thing that the Jews did with Zionism. They want to hide their lineage. They don't want to tell you we're Khazarians. That they think they have a right. Well, they do have a right. They married into that lineage. That's what they're not telling you. They're hybrids. There's your hybrid. But they go by many names. They just keep changing their names to protect the guilty. But I'm not for either side. I guess if I had to choose a side, I would much rather everybody go back to sleep than ultimate destruction. But hopefully this is all going to be stopped. Hopefully what I'm seeing here and what's being pulled down, even though I know Trump is a Jesuit, he was raised a Jesuit, look it up for yourself, do your homework. His kids went to Georgetown, everybody in DC went to Georgetown. And everybody on the other side went to Stanford and the Berkeley and all them in California. But they're still one. You have to get the big picture here. And we're all stuck in the middle. And they try to make you choose one side or the other. Just stand. Just get your popcorn and go sit in the audience and watch the show. Be an observer. Be a learner. Learn from other people's mistakes. A lot of times, it's not what they're showing you, it's what they're not showing you. And they push you to points to evoke your emotions. That's not the one I want. They want to evoke your emotions. Where's my other picture? I'm getting two on the same. There we go. They want to evoke your emotions. Because that keeps... anger and everything that keeps you in the lower chakras, you'll never get to the mental. They're going to block you here, and you'll never get to here, which takes you, it's just a full circle. They just keep going around in a circle. But they don't want you to think. They don't want you to be critical thinkers. You must follow the script, or you'll be, as they tell them, either you follow the script or we have a stand-in and we'll replace you. Call it a clone, a look-alike, whatever. We'll just replace you with somebody else. But it's a script. These people don't have a choice. Right now, we're under the illusion that Trump is making peace with North Korea. He is cutting ties with the Iran deal. Last night we had drone strikes in Pakistan that killed a mullah or somebody over there, a head leader of the Taliban. And so the war goes on. Europe's going to keep playing the war. They're going to keep playing the war card. And that's what patriotism is all about. That's what the patriarch is all about. You pay the tree. It's the pay tree. You pay the PAL. It's PayPal. PayPal is PayPal. There's no difference between PayPal, NetSpend, all of these online banking systems. I know I have to use them. They're all owned by PayPal. They're all owned by one source. And there can be only one. Who is it? AT&T merged with Time Warner. AT&T merged with Time Warner. So the beast keeps swallowing up what's under it till it's fragmented, right? It was built fragmented. It's pulling itself together. So there can be only one beast. It's pulling everything in. And that's what they're doing here. They're pulling everything in. That's what we need to be doing to ourselves. Because we're fragmented all over the place. Some of our beliefs are over here. Some of them are in the yellow. Some of them are in the red. And some of them are in the black. And we need to just stand in the middle. Just stand. If you can't stand anymore, damn it, just sit. But the problem, reaction, solution, the only way it stops is no reaction. And that you act. You're an actor. Don't react. Don't act. Do nothing. That's when you do nothing but go inward. Most of us need to stop looking at what's going on around the world and start looking at what's going on in ourselves. Why do we feel the way we do? Why do we have an emotional reaction when they do this? They push our buttons. We're the ones that respond. And that's really all I got to say about that. That's the only solution to problem, reaction, solution is no reaction. Here's a good one for you. If you're going to react, just laugh at them. Laugh at them. But to insult them, to get emotionally involved and start slinging insults around, Mark Twain said, and I'm going to leave this on this note, when somebody doesn't have anything intelligent to say, they resort to insult.